A very good morning. The breaking, developing news story today is that the Epping sex offender who was accidentally released from prison in Essex on Friday has been arrested by the Met Police in North London this morning. A manhunt was launched after Hadush Kebatu was mistakenly let free last month. The 41-year-old was found guilty of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and a woman. His case sparked weeks of protests outside the Bell Hotel where he was staying. Officials have been ordered to draw up plans for an independent investigation into how an incident like this could happen. Well, the Met Police earlier today released this statement, which they said this has been a diligent and fast-paced investigation led by specialist officers from the Metropolitan Police, supported by Essex Police and the British Transport Police. Information from the public led to officers to Finsbury Park, and following a search, they located Mr Kebatu. He was then detained by police and be returned to custody of the prison service. I am extremely grateful to the public for their support following our appeal, which assisted in locating Mr Kebatu. Well, we've also in the last hour had this reaction from the Prime Minister, saying Hadush Kebatu has been arrested and will be deported. Officers have worked quickly and diligently to bring him back into custody. We have ordered an investigation to establish what went wrong. We must make sure this does not happen again. Well, let's get more political reaction now. Let's join the Conservative Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, who joins us now live. A very good morning to you, Chris. First of all, your reaction to this arrest.
Good morning. Well, look, it's welcome that he has been apprehended in East London, but of course he should never have been released in the first place. And I think the Justice Secretary and the Home Secretary should frankly apologise to the British public for presiding over a system which led to his release to start with. I think this also raises wider questions about the illegal immigration across the Channel, where the first 9 months of this year were the worst ever, the worst in history for illegal immigration over the Channel. And this man was one of those who arrived and within just 8 days of arriving sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl. I think it's about time the Labour government got serious about stopping illegal immigration, because awful cases like this are one of the consequences of it.
It may well be, and you pointed there about the prison systems and the Justice Department, but my word, who's to blame for that? I mean, I don't think you can say it's the Labour government. It was an absolute mess when they took over.
Well, look, they've been in charge now for almost a year and a half, so I think they do have to take responsibility for the system. The last government actually left record ever police numbers behind, although those numbers under Labour are now falling. So they do have to take responsibility for a system which they're presiding over.
Sorry, you asked for the government to apologise for what has gone on. Let's be honest about this. The prison system was an absolute state when Labour took over. You had to release prisoners earlier because of this. Can you apologise to the British public for the state the Conservative Party left the prison systems in?
Well, I mean, the last government did not release people early on anything like the scale this Labour government has. I think they released people a matter of a few days early, but it wasn't anything more than that. And there was a prison building programme in progress, which I very much hope the new government, or the current Labour government, continue with. But this failing, the release of this man by accident, happened under the Labour government. And as I say, I think the Justice Secretary and Home Secretary should apologise. This man should be immediately deported back to his country of origin so he doesn't pose a risk to women and girls here.
I just think it's extraordinary that you come on the television and ask the current government to apologise when, frankly, a lot of this, and the public know this, is the reason you lost the election, is down to mistakes and bad management under the previous Conservative government. People haven't got short memories, Chris. They do remember this.
Look, I know the last government had, got a number of things wrong, which is obviously why we lost the election. And we recognise that. We've now got new leadership. We've got a new leader. I wasn't Home Secretary in the last government, but I'm Shadow Home Secretary now. Under new leadership, we're coming up with new ideas to address the problems the country faces on illegal immigration, on legal immigration, on the policing. We've got a police and crime announcement to hire even more new police officers and do surge policing. So, I know the last government made mistakes. Obviously, that's why the last election was lost. But under new leadership, we're now coming up with new ideas, new plans. I think 37 new ideas at the conference a couple of weeks ago, because there are serious problems the country faces that need sorting out, and we're coming up with ideas to do that.
OK, just in terms of trying to make sure this doesn't happen again, and you're right, it did happen under Labour's watch, but what would a Conservative government do differently to prevent something like this accident release or the more immediate deportation to come about?
Well, I think the main point here is that where people enter the country illegally, as this man did, he came in by small boat, we should be detaining and deporting people entering the country this way within a week. Now, to do that, we'll have to come out of the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights. But then if we do that, if we come out of the ECHR, we can then remove people who come in illegally, either to their country of origin, if it's safe or possible, or a safe third country like Rwanda, if not. And that means people like this man would not be here in the first place. It also means the channel crossings would be deterred, because no one's going to bother crossing the English Channel from France if they're going to wind up getting very rapidly removed. We've seen that approach work in other areas, like, for example, Australia 12 or 13 years ago, and we saw it work. It was working this year in the United States of America as well. So we've got that plan. We proposed it a few weeks ago, but I fear the Labour government is too weak to implement it.
OK, and just very finally on all of this, this arrest this morning came about after a member of the public, we believe, called the police when he was near a bus stop. We have got a lot of CCTV in London, and indeed across the UK, it must be said, but it's not very effective in terms of trying to find someone immediately, because there's a lot of material to look through. Would you, as Shadow Home Secretary, be more comfortable with things like facial recognition being used in our CCTV networks?
So there are facial recognition technologies the police use already. For example, if there's an image of a suspect at a crime scene, for example, from CCTV, you can run that through the facial recognition database that contains the images of people that have been arrested. That should be used a lot more to catch wanted criminals. You can also use live facial recognition to identify wanted criminals who are wandering down the street, which actually might have applied in this case. In fact, in my own borough in London, Croydon, that has been used quite a lot in the last year or so, and it's led to the arrest, I think, of about 200 people who would not otherwise have been arrested. So I do think facial recognition does have a role to play to catch wanted criminals who would not otherwise be caught. Of course, you do have to do it in a way that makes sure civil liberties are respected. So, for example, when live facial recognition gets used on the streets, if a passerby, like if you or me, walk by the camera and you're not on the wanted list, which I assume applies to both of us, then our image gets immediately and automatically deleted. When they're using it, there are public signs put up. So you do need to have some safeguards just to make sure that people's personal privacy and civil rights are protected, while at the same time catching criminals. But this technology does have enormous capability to catch a lot more criminals who would not otherwise be caught.
OK, yes, I hope we're not on it, Chris, but thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Chris Philp there joining us from central London.